Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Rock. Terry's on the video.
Hi, I'm here.
And we are taking our smush background technique one step further today. And we've been trying to come up with a name and we have not been successful. So we're just going to call it a smush background tape transfer, which is a mouthful, but it's a lot easier to do than to say. So this is going to be our end product. What you're going to need, let me move this out your way, is packaging tape. Can you see that, Terry?
Yep, great.
Okay. Stays on ink, and you can use any color. I'm using black because it shows up good for video purposes. And just an assortment of stamps, anything that's your favorite. And you don't even really have to use stamps if you don't want to, if you just like the way that the paint is.
Let me just get a close-up here so they can kind of get an idea. Okay.
Because you will have the text coming through from the vintage paper that you painted on from the last video. So how are we going to get to this end result? Okay, well first you're going to need one of your smushed background techniques that we did from the last video. If you want to fill in any of these spots where we ended the last time was to use some of these oil pastels, you could use markers, you could use just an ink pad right on here, and I will show you. Again, I'm using the Tim Holtz Ranger inks. Did you get that, Terry?
Yep.
And you could just put marks on there like this. And I like when my things look old and worn. That's kind of my style. So once you have that filled into the way you want it, what you're going to do is you're going to take your Stays On ink, and I'm going to be using stamps. Here's one stamp that's just an unmounted text stamp. It's actually, I think, like Italian or something like that. You can't really read the words. But without even putting it on a block, I just kind of dab it on here because I don't really want all the words to show up. I'm trying to think of a name for what that is, but Terry says it's
serendipitous.
So there you go. Serendipitous. And I just take stamps and put them any which way. I try to go upside down with images because depending how when you put your tape on here to do the transfer, you don't know which way you're going to use it on your paper. I don't worry. As a matter of fact, I kind of like when the images are not bold and that they more fade into the paper.
Rock, can you show us what the paper looks like? Just kind of lift it up towards me a little bit.
Oh,
there.
Sure.
Thanks. Give everybody
see
a
that?
nice view. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Now you could add more. Another thing that you could do, I'm not going to show you that, but you could actually do a little bit of collage work on here. Like if you had an image, say, of a little Zeddy person, that would work if it was small enough to fit inside of the packaging tape. Okay, so I have a sheet that's all done. This is the sheet that I have stamped for you. And if you can see this little stamp, I'm going to try to get that in my packaging tape transfer. So what I do is I take this packaging tape. I personally like the Scotch tape brand the best, and I'm just going to lay that. It's going to be a little hard to see because it is clear, but I burnish that down. I use my finger. Sometimes I use a popsicle stick, but you kind of just want to make sure that everything is adhered good. And then what I do is I have to lift the paper up. So Terry, use your wonderful skills there.
Oh yeah.
And then I try to find a corner. Now, if you can see how this is lifting up some of the paper but not all of the paper, here's a piece where there's nothing. I don't like that because that won't rip well. And you just sort of learn that from doing. So I'm going to burnish that back down. I'm going to go over to the other corner, and you just kind of have to use your fingernail. And I don't like that corner. That is not working good. That is terrible. So this is an awful video presentation.
Don't make me laugh, Ross. Then the camera's going to shake.
But it's actually good it's happening because it can happen to you at home. And it does happen sometimes. It's just kind of the way it is. No. So the best corner was the first one we started with. And we're just going to rip it and see what happens. You want to go slow because you really want part of the paper to come up. Now you can see that it's working with the ink but not with the paper. And it does happen. I don't know why it happens that the paper doesn't come up so well and this one doesn't. So we're going to try another strip next to it and see.
Let's just see what the paper looks like without that tape.
Okay.
So you can see the tracks where it was.
Yes, but it should be whiter. You shouldn't really see any of this. It won't rip through because actually what you'll end up on the other side, you'll still be able to paint the other side to do that. But here is what came off, which is totally acceptable because if I put this on I don't have any plain white paper. I'll use deli paper, a sheet of deli paper here for the white. But you can see if you put it on here, you still have a nice see-through piece of packaging tape. All you would do is use your glue and glue it onto your paper. So it's totally acceptable that it's clear like this, but just let me try to do the other side, and then this time I'm going to use a popsicle stick and burnish it. Sometimes the heaviness of the paint that you use, perhaps if the paper is not dry enough, you will have what just happened. And again, what just happened is perfectly acceptable, but I want to show you what normally happens. Okay.